It started with a lie. Yes, it started with a lie. Listen, the enemy will come in and disrupt the truths that God gave you. He will, just like he did Eve. He went to Eve and told her what? You should not surely die. In fact, you will become your own person. You'll be able to do it all by yourself. You will be your own God. You will be God. He lied to her. She already had the truth. And when she grabbed onto that lie, she went right on over to Adam. And Adam trusted her. Why? Because she was a gift from God. That's what happened to us. Sometimes the enemy will speak to those who are closest to us. It could be a family member. It could be a friend. It could be a co-worker. It could be somebody you grew up with. It could be a friend of the family. Somebody that you trust. And they'll tell you something that's contrary to the will of God, to the word of God. And because you trust them, you will believe that lie. Even though it wasn't presented to you as a lie. But because it goes against the word and the will of God, it's a lie. And when you accept what they are saying, then you break out of the covenant that you have with God. Isn't that what happened to Adam? Adam and God had a relationship out of this world. It could not be infiltrated. Why? Because God had conversations with Adam. And the only voice he was listening to was whose? Was God's voice. But when God blessed Adam with Eve, that was another voice. A voice that could be trusted. Because shucks, if God blessed me with them, then I should trust them, right? Exactly. But what happens, like I said, when the enemy speaks to the one that God blessed you with? You're thinking that the words that are coming out of their mouths is of truth, is of God. And you'll take it and you will apply it. And then what the enemy will infiltrate it. And you'll be looking around after you've eaten of that apple, after you've eaten of that forbidden fruit. You're saying, why am I naked? I was once covered. I was once in abundance. I was once in healing. I was once in happiness. I was once in peace. I was once in a place of comfort in God's presence. But now I have found myself naked. Now let me try to find something to cover me. And the things that you run to cover you are idols. They look like sage. They look like crystals. They look like your job, your 9 to 5. They look like your BFF, their advice. You have run to idols to cover you. And even in those idols, you still are uncovered. You still are uncovered. Because God didn't start you out being covered with crystals and being covered by idolatry. Right? He didn't. He started you being covered by him. That's why God said he will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings, right? Will you trust him? His truth will be your shield and your buckler. Go read Psalms 91. God is telling you the only protection, the only thing that will cause you to be back covered in him and his presence is him. You got to go back to where it first started. And that was him breathing life into you. Him giving you provision. He is your provision. But first, you have to renounce. You have to reject. You have to rebuke. You have to counsel. You have to abort. You got to demolish. You got to abolish, right? You have to loose. You have to bind and send to the abyss, shattered, right? Scattered. Every single lie that has been spoken into your life, however it got there. If it was against the word and will of God, it's a lie. You've got to renounce it. And when you break it, when you get out of that covenant, now you'll be able to step back into the covenant with God. And when you step back into the covenant with God, you'll be able to reap Deuteronomy 28, what God said he will bring into your life, right? He will put you above the nations. Be blessed in the city, out of the city, right? in the fields, right? When you go in, when you come out, right? He'll bless your storehouse, your baskets, right? Exactly. When you come into his abundance, come into his truth, the enemy will always come in with a lie, because that's the only way he can infiltrate, because you already have the truth. Don't let the enemy come in by carnality. That's what God says, for you to walk in the spirit. Why? Because when you walk in the spirit, you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. See, I know it had to be with Adam and Eve. When Eve was speaking to Adam, Adam's eyes was on her flesh. He was saying, oh, God bless me with a good looking wife. Look at her. Oh, she got it going on. Oh, look at her. Look at her. Her eyes are beautiful. Her hair is beautiful. Look at her cheekbone structure. Look at her body. Oh, it's just the way I like it. And so while Eve was talking, Adam was so in tune with her flesh, her carnalness, to where he couldn't hear the truth speaking on God's side. That's what God is telling you today and me, to continue to walk in the spirit. That way you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh, right? And keep a what? Spiritual mind, because God said, if you keep a spiritual mind, you will live. He said, why? Because to be carnal minded is death. That's why you got to look over at Philippians chapter 4, where it tells you what to think about. Those things which are lovely, those things which are noble, those things which are praiseworthy, right? Which means that everything that God thinks about you, that's why God says he knows the thoughts that he thinks of you. They are of peace and not of evil, which means they're not contrary. Anything that's whispering to your head, any thoughts that's coming to you, telling you that you ain't worth it, that you ain't gonna never be, that you ain't gonna never have, that you ain't good enough, that you ain't smart enough, that you don't look good enough, that you don't make enough money. All those thoughts are of evil. Which means what? They're not from God. God says what? He knows the thoughts he think of you, they are of peace and not of evil, and that they are giving you a future. He's giving you a future and a hope. Hold on to that. Hold on to those truths. Renounce the lie. Denounce it. Reject it. And stick to God's truth. And watch, he'll bring you into everything that he's called you to be, do, and have. But remember, it started with a lie. Speak God's truth. In your tongue is life and death. And God only wants you to speak life. Only life. And when you speak life, you will begin to live, okay? You'll begin to live. I hope y'all got it. But if you didn't get it, rewind this thing and watch again. In the meantime, between time, if you take just a little bit of what I'm telling you and apply to your life to the best of your ability, you won't ever have to mask a smile. Why? Because your smiles will always be genuine. Be blessed, stay blessed, be blessed, stay blessed, be blessed, stay blessed. Y'all know what's coming next. Speak the truth and live.